All right, hi everyone. Welcome to this Analyze Your Trade number 217 uh, on April 15th, 2025. And we have a great day planned of a lot of live technical analysis. And uh, and then, of course, just reminder, all of these presentations are for educational purposes only. Trading is not suitable for all people. Please consult a financial advisor and only trade with money you can afford to lose. All of these sessions are being recorded individually, and those will be available on the Timing Research website. Also, if you search for Timing Research on YouTube, Substack, or your favorite podcast app, you'll be able to find them there as well. Um, all right, so to open the day for us, we have Daniel Sinnig of TradingIndicators.com here. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to him.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks, David. Thanks for putting this event together. It's always fun to be here. And I thought, just to kick things off into the day, we're going to do something slightly different. I'm going to go off script a little bit, but don't worry, David. We nothing too crazy. I would like to walk you through, guys, what we do here at TradingIndicators.com on a daily basis. And what I mean by this is how we, first of all, look at the market from a day trading point of view. And secondly, we're going to walk you through our setups that we have on the charts. And perhaps if we see something of interest, we may even take a live trade in this 30-minute session. But no worries, if you have any symbol requests, whatever it may be, we can look at those as well. But let me kick it off first with our daily routine, so to say, of how we look at the markets and one of the indicators that we use on every single chart for our trading. And this indicator, you can see it a little bit here on the right-hand side. It's a volume profile indicator. We call this volume IQ. It's on every single chart. And why this indicator is on every single chart, you're going to see in a second when we're actually going to look at some day trading charts here in a second. But one more thing, what I'd like to share with you is basically the lifestyle that we here have at Trading Indicators, which allows us to, take trades within a short period of time. This is a 30-minute session. We all have busy lives. We have a business to run. We have other obligations. So for trading, sometimes you only have a small window. And if you only have the small window, for example, if you can only trade in your lunch hour, it's really important to focus on the essentials to potentially find some interesting setups. So if this to say, we do put our money where our mouth is, and let us show just one last thing before we're going to go to our live charts. If I can find my yeah, this one here. We have a Discord channel where we post all our setups every single day, and you can see it here on the right-hand side. The volume profile indicator is on every single setup, basically, that we're posting, no exceptions. Okay, so how this indicator works and how we use it for trading, and what are some interesting day trading setups? Let's get started and let's get into this. So with this, Nicholas, our valued colleague is going to share his screen. Hi, Nicholas. Are you there?
Hi,
And
everybody.
let's look at some charts. Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so I sent a
Perfect.
request to share my screen
Okay.
and I
So
can
David,
share.
maybe
Okay, perfect. All righty.
uh,
So let me know when and if you could see my trading view.
I can see it. Maybe just speak up a little bit. You're a little bit
Oh,
quiet, but yeah,
sorry about that,
we
guys. Let me
definitely
turn
can
up
see it.
my audio input. There we go. Okay, so
Perfect.
Daniel,
Yeah.
take it away.
Yeah, so what you see right here let me just make this a little bit bigger so I can see this chart myself a bit clearer, is a chart of the MNQ, the micro Nasdaq futures contract on the 30-minute time frame. So that's the chart. That's one of the symbols we trade all the time if you look at our Discord. And by the way, guys, the link to join our Discord channel, I forgot to mention this, it's a free join, is in the chat of Zoom. So if you want to stop by, look at our setups and our talk in there, simply join our Discord. Okay, so that's done. And yeah, what do we see here? So first off, we do trade Nasdaq all the time. We do a lot of day trading. We do also do longer terms trading, but for day trading, Nasdaq is one of our key symbols. And as mentioned before, on the right-hand side, you see one of the indicators, which is on every single chart that we are using. And this is a volume profile indicator, not just any, it's one that we have built on our own. So why? Because we were not happy with the built-in volume profile indicators that come with TradingView or other platforms, and perhaps also third-party indicators did not give us all the information that we needed to take full advantage. So for example, what do I mean by this? What is key for us? So first off, and this is fairly common, I want to see by looking at the volume profile indicator, hey, where is the most contested area of price? Or in other words, the zone of control. And look what this little histogram there where the bars are really, really long. You can see they already extend all the way to the left. This is the longest bar, basically. This is our zone of control. And what's really important is, first off, it's never just a concrete price level. It's really a zone. So always think about of an area of price, not just a line in the sand. It's really important because you always have to give it a bit of slack. So that's a key information. This is the most contested area of price. So what can we infer from this? Well, a couple of things. First off, should price come down to this level, we can expect that price will slow down in this level. Why? Because it's contested. Price likes to hang out there. This is why there's so much volume in this area. So price may slow down. That's one takeaway. Takeaway number two is, should we leave this zone of control? Perhaps go to an area where there's very little volume. Perhaps if price goes a little bit higher up, this is on MNQ, look at this carved out place. If you go a bit more to the right, there's basically no volume there. What can we expect from this? Well, we can expect price to accelerate in these areas. Why? Once again, because there's not many sellers or buyers holding price back and not much going on there. So if price enters this area, we may see an acceleration and price may plow through it very quickly. So that's one thing we can take away. The other thing is, look at the very right-hand side of the volume IQ indicator. You see this bluish box there, or these reddish boxes? These are order imbalances, basically telling us, hey, are there perhaps more buyers in this area when it's a bit bluish? This is our color theme. Or perhaps are there more sellers in this area? And this can give you a bit of a bias to expect, hey, what direction will price or may price take once we enter into this price region? So you can see all these are key information that we as traders need to know to predict, of course, predict in quotes, with some confidence of what price may do in the future. All right, so this is basically how this volume IQ indicator works. There are many other features in there as well. We won't have time to go through all of these, but if you're interested, we do have a link later on where you can learn more about it. But let's look at some live charts right now. So Niklas, what do you see this morning in the markets? I know you've already took some trades early on today. What do you see right now from a day trading point of view in the future space?
So I'm going to hop over to another tab here. And what we have in this tab is two different charts. So we have our layout split into two. The chart on the left is a 15-minute chart. And then the chart on the right is going to be a 5-minute chart. And this is for our setup that we always use for day trading, because we kind of want to get a bird's eye view on the 15-minute, what's happening in the volume profile, which zones are contested, like Daniel called it, a zone of control, and where might there be, where might we encounter sellers or buyers, and where might we expect price to accelerate or decelerate. So let's look at MNQ here. So I was speaking with Daniel just 30 minutes ago when the market opened, and our idea here on this chart is, well, the volume profile, it has a feature where it's always running this continuous optimization to give us just a general sentiment of whether we're in a bullish or a bearish trend. Of course, it's kind of obvious on this time frame that we're making higher lows here, but we do have this little sentiment line up here that's blue telling us, hey, we're kind of bullish. So we were watching this for a setup saying maybe we'll get to take a live trade here on MNQ during the webinar if we retrace down to this zone of control, this high volume node. And the reason for this, or high volume zone rather, the reason for this is, well, we're making higher lows. We're trying to move upwards. Price, obviously the markets, NASDAQ had one of the biggest days ever last week. We're kind of swinging upwards, but price is a little bit extended and there is a lot of volume. It's a very contested area we're in right now. There hasn't really been a breakout. And we can also see, we haven't broken above this pivot back here, these pivots. So our idea was, well, what if price retraces down to this zone of control where we can see on the right, there's a lot of buy imbalance and there's a ton of liquidity. Clearly there's pivot lows here. This might act as support and it'll be a very good high reward to risk long entry. So we're going to be watching this one. This is the 15-minute chart. We like to look at that to keep a bird's eye view for day trades. If we pull back to here quickly, kind of doubtful during the session, but maybe, we're going to enter in with a long trade once we start to get into this contested zone. The reason for this is, well, if we're to enter up here, that wouldn't be very wise according to the indicator. because we're still in an area of high volume. If price breaks out further, we can see here, there's not a lot of volume right here in this area. So if we do get up to here, we break through these high volume zones, we would expect an acceleration upwards, but the indicator's telling us, hey, there's still a lot of sellers here, and it's kind of late to the game for us. We're a little bit late to the party to get a long trade here. So we would wait to get this entry down here because it's better reward to risk, and the indicator makes it easy to spot good reward to risk. And the reason why this one's a good reward to risk trade is we have a very clear area to place a stop loss. So if we get an entry when we come back down to this high volume node, this high volume zone, we would expect price to slow down there. It might act as support. And below this, well, this is kind of like, imagine this is the ledge and we're looking over the cliff. If we lose this high volume zone, this contested area, we would expect price to accelerate because all the traders who've been going long over the past, trading day in this area, getting their entries repeatedly, you can see every time price came down to that area, traders were buying and it bounced. If we break and lose that contested zone, well, sellers start to come in. People start to panic, at least over recent trading action. So we would just take an entry here and place our stop loss a little bit lower where the sellers start to step in. And actually, because I don't think we're going to get a retracement down to there on MNQ, we did, however, take that trade today multiple times over the past 24 hours. So I'm hopping over to another tab here and I'm going to open in full screen MNQ on the 15-minute. So that's the chart we were just on before. And once the indicator calculates, well, the setup I was talking about, we already took that today, but I was hoping we would get another opportunity. So let me make it a little bit smaller. So this is the same chart we were looking at before, 15-minute MNQ. And in volume IQ here on the right, we can see this big double block zone here. That's the zone of control where there's the most volume, basically the most important area on the chart. And you can see here, over the past trading day, this is 7 p.m. last night, this is just this morning, we were trading that setup that I was just speaking about, which is when price drops down into the zone of control, we go long and we place our stop loss just a little bit lower where volume starts to drop off, where we might expect us to plummet and where sellers step in. And you can see we bought in right at this zone of control. When we bounced up, kind of ran out of steam, took profits, bought it again this morning, took profits.
And Nicholas, real quick, from my point of view, this is a really interesting or nice setup, one of our most popular ones, and especially combined with the fact that, hey, we also had a bullish bias in the market overall. And you can see this by this bluish line on top of the volume profile. So go all the way on top, you see a bit of a bluish line there. Oh, I think there's a bit of a lag on my hand, but yeah.
On top and on bottom, Daniel, I did point it out with my mouse.
Okay, perfect. Okay, sorry, I have a bit of a small lag here on my end. But yeah, it's a powerful setup and kind of also a confluence setup where, hey, things are coming together. We are approaching a support level, price may bounce off from it, and we have a bullish bias. And one other thing before we go to another chart, which perhaps has a more pertinent setup, is we like to keep things simple when it comes to trading. This is one of our mantras, keep things simple. And you can see it cannot be much simpler than this because this indicator will actually do most of the heavy lifting and the complicated calculations automatically for us. And then we just, can put things together in our head. And if things line up, we execute the trade.
Definitely, and this was a good one. And we're going to go to another chart. I'm going to hop back to that tab where we had 2 time frames open, and I'll point out. So this is the 15-minute on MNQ, just to show. We were expecting price to stop going up here, quite probably. The reason why and why we would have taken profits here if we did get along is, price zoomed up since 8:30 this morning. Market open, big candle. Now it's slowing down. Why is it slowing down? Well, probably because historically there's a lot of volume and liquidity here, and they tend to be sell orders. So sellers, the indicator already pointed this out to us. We can expect a lot of sellers once we get up above 19,100. We can see, it's kind of losing a bit of momentum here. So maybe we will get that retracement. Now we're going to hop over to another, I think, potential setup, which is micro gold. And let's see what it's doing.
And while this is loading up, just a quick note from my end. So this indicator works great for day trading, but if you're on the longer time frames for swing trading, it works just the same way. So, but just because this is a 30-minute session, we focus on day trading.
Yes. And okay, so here I'm on micro gold. And what do we see here on the 15-minute chart on the left? Well, number one, I really got to stretch this chart to see, wow, look at this giant volume profile, this range, because this symbol, gold, of course, is on a tear. It's really made a massive move. But what's really most interesting here is we can see the most contested zone, the highest volume area out of all the price action over the past 15-minute chart, about 500 bars, maybe trading week, is right here. We're right at the most contested important zone on the chart right now. So just like on MNQ, we spoke about, well, based on what the overall trend is doing, here we can see it is bullish. We might be able to come up with a trade decision here and get good reward to risk. And here, I'm going to talk about two different things we can do here. Now, number one, the logical one, I think they're the clear bias that most traders would take, and I think is still a great trade, depends on what price does here, is we're very bullish. This is the most contested area. If we can break out through this important zone, let me zoom in a bit here. These two high volume levels, we can get through, let's say 32.40, 32.43 with confidence. That might be what we call a zone of control crossover trade, which means if we break through this, well, now we're through the contested area. The market's showing direction in favor of bulls. We're going to take a long trade. And this is a good reward to risk trade. Because what we would like to see here is we can see here it's contested. This gray zone tells us it's kind of neutral between buyers and sellers. I would want to see us not only break this zone of control, but get up to this level where some buyers start to step in. You can see this little blue rectangle. So maybe around 33,244. If we get up to there, hey, it's a good reward to risk long trade because we could just place our stop right down here. Very clear. Because if we come back down to here, well, this is a level where some sellers start to step in and we've lost the contested zone. So I think let's put an alert right here. See if we get to 3,244 because I want to go over to the 5-minute chart to show, well, another hypothesis we could have had. Let's go over to the 5-minute. And actually on the right here, we can see the 5-minute chart. And the volume profile on the right looks a little bit different than it does on the 15-minute chart because it's looking at a smaller time frame. And we can see on the 5-minute, actually, where we are, 3,240 about, 3,238, is also the most important area on the 5-minute chart. If we can cross above this zone, we can see above here, there's not that much volume in the short term preventing us from going higher. Liquidity gets lower and lower and lower as we go up. And a little bit of a similar look on the 15-minute chart here. If we get a little bit higher, we can expect there's not going to be much resistance or orders coming in to stop us, of course, because these are the all-time highs on gold. So we're going to keep our alert here. A lot of, we can look on the 5-minute chart here. Same kind of thing. If we lose 32, what was it? 35, 36. Well, the trade's starting to go against us. We'll put our stop loss around there. And by 32, I meant 3,200. But
sorry, real quick, Nicholas,
yeah.
the analogy here that one may think is, once resistance, you can think of this zone of control as resistance. Once resistance is broken, we have a break of resistance, and price may then just really accelerate to the upside. So that's the way to look at it as kind of support and resistance notions. And as we know, once these levels are broken, we have a breakout trade, and price may continue in the direction of the breakout. So that's basically the idea. If you bring this back to basic trading concepts.
Definitely.
All right, go ahead, Nicholas.
And there's two, and what's great about this is that the zone of control, this area, hey, unless we really confidently break this level, it's not a long trade yet, and we could trade it short, which is why you can see the color shifting from red to blue every time it fails to break it or breaks it. And we had somebody point out this setup to me. I didn't spot this initially in Discord, or I wasn't watching gold. And they said, hey, check the 15-minute chart on gold. It's at the zone of control, the most important zone. And we're speaking about a long trade there on, hey, maybe we're going to get that retracement on MNQ. We're speaking about a long trade on gold, but I actually took a short trade before because I saw that we weren't breaking the zone yet. And look, this is another trade example. I'll just wait for this chart to load. That's based on this concept of zones of control acting as support or resistance. So what did I see here? I saw earlier in the day, we came up to here. We tried to break through this level. We broke through it. We ran up a little bit, but then we encountered some sellers. I saw, hey, there's sellers stepping in. If we fail to hold it, I'm going to go short, which is exactly what we did. Once we came down and broke through the zone of control, we came a little lower. We went short right here. You can see the little triangle right in the middle of this wick showing we shorted right when it lost the zone of control. And then we covered, took our profits down here. Once we came down to an area where I saw there's buyers starting to step in. So, hey, I'm going to take my profits. I don't want to be greedy. And we also saw there's a high volume node down here. This is kind of like a little jut, a little peak of volume, and figured, hey, that might act as support. So when you see these big levels in the histogram, when they're above you, they're going to act as resistance. And when they're below you, they're hopefully going to act as support. So let's go back to our chart with multiple time frames here. And all right, I think this one we've kind of gone through what the setup is here. We're going to wait to see. Not only do we break this zone of control, because we've seen that that's happened a couple times before, and it's failed to continue. This is kind of a contested neutral area. If we break it and then we start to get past the old pivots and we get into an area where buyers start to step in, well, we're going to go long and we're going to put our stop loss just below that zone of control if the trade goes against us. And of course, gold, even though it's on such a run upwards, I'm going to scroll out a bit here. Maybe it's due for a retracement downwards, but I think we can all see this is kind of a flagging pattern. We have the big run up, and now we're flagging. There might be room for more of a breakout. So let's leave this one as it is, and I'm going to move over to micro NASDAQ again, just to see if we're getting that. Oh, wait, did it happen? That's a big buy up right there. It really came down quickly. We'll wait for the indicator to load. And we had a couple symbol requests. We did cover gold, so that's good. We can also check out QQQ later. All right, so what happened here on MNQ? And I'm going to focus on the 15-minute chart. Sorry, Dino, go ahead. Were you about to?
Yeah. I think we forgot to set our alert for the retracement there, huh? That's why we missed out
Yeah,
on
we
that
did.
big
We
bar.
didn't set one. So maybe let's put it. I think we probably would have put it down in the zone of control, which let's say around, 18,900 is a round number. Maybe let's put it 18,890 to see if we crack that, which would be putting us into the zone of control. And let's see what happened here. So we had a really fast drop. We came up just 10 minutes ago. We were speaking about, hey, it's probably going to see some resistance up here because there's a lot of volume and there's sellers. And it reversed from there. Would have been a good spot to take profits had you caught the long. And then when we dropped down, it started to find buyers again. Once, we came through quickly this low volume cutout, we fell down until we started to see more volume, but we didn't make it all the way down here. So I think this actually might have a little bit of pullback still to happen. We might still come down to this zone of control. We didn't reach it. And we are right now approaching this low liquidity area. I think we might actually get our retracement down here.
Maybe place a limit order at this level already. So this is one thing we frequently do is enter by a limit order. Of course, that's the only way where you can be guaranteed the price that you want. Market orders can have slippage, but limit orders, of course, guarantee the price at the price level you specified or better. So yeah.
And Dino, what do you think? I think it would be smart for us to not enter in at this alert level, but rather wait till we get a little bit more into the zone of control where there's buyers. So maybe 18,860.
Yep.
18,860. And that will give us the opportunity.
And once before you place it, let's also think about the stop real quick, where we put our stop loss.
I would put our stop loss right here.
Yeah. And maybe just, because I think that makes a lot of sense. Look at the pivot low a few bars before, right there. So at this pivot low level, no, I think the lower one, that is a good, something like this would be a good stop loss as well. It coincides with the fact that, hey, if we lose that level, there are sellers predominant and may drop price even further down. So I agree with that.
18, and that's about, let's put on our crosshair here to see. Okay, so sellers start to step in. Yeah, you know what? Let's just put it at the round number 18,800 instead of
Yeah.
exactly the 18,790s because it's probably going to see that anyways
And
if it
before
moves.
you place the order, let's have a quick look. What is our risk at place? Because of every trade we want to take, we need to be aware of our risk. And TradingView is very convenient for this. It will show you directly in this panel what is our risk. So should we get stopped out, we will lose. Enter the number there. How much would we lose? We put the
$161 Canadian.
Yeah. So that's yeah, very clearly defined risk. And with every trader, you should be aware of these uh, risk amounts because you always want to be within your risk tolerance. So yeah, let's see what happens there. It's exciting. I'm not sure we're going to be filled in the next 4 minutes, but that's definitely an interesting setup with a nice reward to risk ratio. All right. Uh, so Nicholas, before we move on, let me quickly grab the screen for a second. We're going to have a look
Sure.
at this, but yeah, so let me just quickly, because I want to share with you real quick, guys, and this is only going to take 1 minute. We're going to revisit the charts right after. Again, we do have a special offer, and the link will be put into the chat. Actually, let me do this right now, where we offer our volume IQ indicator, which we have on every single chart when it comes to day trading, but also for swing trading at a 50% discount. This is to say thank you to David and Timing Research in this awesome event, and of course also to you guys too. Taking time out of your busy lives to attend this session. So as a big thank you, you're going to get 50% off. Simply go to tradingindicators.com/volume. And this link is also in the chat. The regular price is 1,997, but today only 997 for the first 10 users. And all you need to do is to enter the coupon code profile at checkup. This coupon code is also repeated on this page here. So no need to note it down right now. And real quick, in addition to all this, we're not going to leave you alone with Volume IQ. There's so many features that you can use. We only tipped the top of the iceberg today. We will have a full-scale live trading workshop for 2 hours on May 1st. We're going to learn all about how we set things up, how we look at the charts, which other indicators we potentially use. So you're going to be invited to this live trading workshop. You will also receive our masterclass on volume profile trading. It's the indicator's a lot of work, but there's so many different setups that you can take and which can be very interesting. And you'll be also invited to our bootcamp session to make sure that you understand every single feature on your trading platform for this indicator. And by the way, we offer this for TradingView, NinjaTrader, and Modern Wave. And as mentioned before, you will be invited to our Discord channel. And every Tuesday, actually right after this session, we have our members-only weekly sessions where we analyze the markets. You can ask questions. You learn tips and tricks and so forth. So tradingindicators.com/volume for this special. All right. With this, Nicholas, let's go back real quick to
Yeah,
our charts one more time to see if you get our film.
gotcha. Okay, let me share my screen. And it looks like gold might come up and hit our entry point.
Oh,
Um,
yeah,
can you see my trading view?
I do. Yeah. Okay,
Perfect.
let's perhaps, if you have 2 more minutes, maybe, yeah, let's place an order there as well.
Yeah,
Or a
and we
long
could,
trade just to show where we would enter, maybe at market this time. Typically, we do it by limit order, but just to
we
show
could
you
put a
guys how it's
stop.
done
Yeah.
and put the stop loss. So where would we put the stop loss?
I
Once
think we
again,
should
just
put it
below.
right
Yeah,
here. Right.
perfect. Yeah,
Sorry to
below the
cut you
zone
off
of
there.
control. $80 risk. Yeah, it's a very low risk trade. And yeah, let's see how this one pans out.
And on this one
Perfect.
for a target, so we're on the 5 minute looking for fine tuning our entry and our stop. But for our target, of course, our stop is pretty close by. It's about $8 away. We would want to find a nice longer term target. So what we would do is then change timeframes over to the 15 minute and see, well, what might be a reasonable target for this kind of move. Let's wait for the indicator to load. One moment. There we go. Okay. So really, if we get our entry here, the first thing we're thinking once we're going to be entering around 3, 2, 4, 5 is, well, we got to clear these pivots. There's still a bit of ways to go. But once we get up through these pivots, if we do, we're going to have some buyers stepping in here and we're going to be really, really close to all-time highs, recent pivot highs. This is going to be resistance. So I think what we would do in this trade is if we get the entry, if it does, we already made our theory for why we're only going to enter here because we want to see it confidently clear this big contested zone. If we do get the entry, we're just going to wait to see what does the symbol, what does gold do at the all-time highs? So that's
Yeah.
going to give us